Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and this video is going to be a weird one. So I skipped last week at the comic shop just because I had no energy to go. It's kind of lost me. Like I kind of hate comics right now. Like they're so bad, and I talk to people. They go, "Yeah, I go in once a month now. I buy like one thing." But anyway, obviously I bought these. I want to do a video on them. So when this came out, 2 Wednesdays ago, I bought it. I go, Captain Marvel, that's always some easy cringe. I'll just roast this trash. And I read it. It's absolute trash. And then I saw this on the stands and I go, oh, this is that Michael Golden story. It's where, Rogue took Captain Marvel's, or she was Ms. Marvel back then, took her powers. That should be a pretty good story. And then I'll do a little compare and contrast. I just thought it was going to be, combining a regular roast video with one of my Marvel before SGWs. But I was not ready for what happened. Basically, what happened is I broke my own heart. Like I've actually been getting emotional over this. Start calling me the Kevin Smith of YouTube comic book channels. But anyway, what you're gonna see is someone in their prime, and then someone dying. Someone in a hospice. And for people who don't know, hospice is the hospital you don't come out of. It's a hospital you go in to die. And the thing is that this is an annual, so it's a Chris Claremont written annual, so it takes like 2 hours to read it. Whereas this is a modern Marvel comic, so you read it in like 5 minutes. The funny thing is, so they do kind of like the True Believers cover, and then on the inside, I love the True Believers line. It's like $1, $1. So this came out in 1981, and it was 75 cents. So I Googled and I found an inflation calculator, and it says this would be the equivalent of $2.09 right now. This is like 40 pages you're gonna see, and then this is 20 pages of trash, and it's literally twice what it should be, even accounting for inflation. So kind of I'll tell that story. So my father, my grandfather was a World War II veteran, and just like everyone in his in his generation, they smoked their whole life. So all my grandparents passed away around the age of 68. So I got to see him in his hospice, but I don't think they either didn't call it a hospice or they didn't tell me it was a hospice. And when I went in, he had just been out for a while, and basically barely awake, just being fed through tubes or whatever. We visited him every couple of days. He could barely talk. And then we went in one time, and the nurses, for whatever reason, most likely for a good-hearted reason, they decided to dye his hair brown. And it's just something, when I saw it, first of all, it made me really angry. And like I felt like it was like almost like mocking him. It's like, he's dying, he's dead, he's not coming back, and you're like dyeing his hair brown so he looks younger. But all the hair dye did was accentuate that he's not gonna be like that ever again. So like I said, I'm not trying to be like Kevin Smith, over the top, like over emotional tears and all that type of stuff. But like, Marvel's been a huge part of my life for most of my life. Let's just get into it. This is going to be a long video. So this is Captain Marvel, Braver and Mightier. Because they do the faster... Oh my God, what is it? Whatever her stupid catchphrase is. And they also did this because they wanted another #1 tied with the movie, so they can say, Captain Marvel, the most popular Marvel superhero, has got a new #1. And of course, all the shill websites go with this. But I'm not kidding. This is a book where Carol... is first we get to hear that she's the Earth's mightiest hero, and then she's bragging about how it's going to be so easy to defeat these villains, and then she basically defeats them very easily. And then half of the book is these two characters who, as far as I know, have never been in any other Marvel comic. They're interviewing her, which is the greatest thing ever, because a Marvel superhero who flies and is strong, it's unheard of. She's amazing. So then we get this, this boring story where she easily defeats this entire armada, and they literally have 10 pages of these two kids trying to figure out the question to ask her. I would ask her, "Are you Axl Rose? Is that your secret? Tell me you don't see Axl Rose right there. Come on. Put the bandana on and the biker shorts. Put him on a roof. What's he singing? Don't you cry." I can totally, that's Axl Rose. That is completely Axl Rose. So then she easily defeats everyone. And then she goes, and it's selfie time. Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, this is how people took selfies like with smartphones like 8 years ago. Everyone looks at the screen, grandma. Second of all, she goes there and the kids think that she's so amazing. And then they ask her, "What would you tell your former self?" And then her answer was, "I would tell her she's right." Basically, she says, "I would do everything all over again, and I would tell her, everyone was wrong and you were right." So literally, this book is come on. No, that's not Axl Rose. That's Dave Mustaine. That's Dave Mustaine. Come on. Can't you see this guy beefing with his former bandmates in Metallica for decades? That's Dave Mustaine. So what we got was a Marisu hero who easily defeats an entire armada while emotionally validating herself. Oh, I forgot. She actually talks about the science. Yes, we have hit that level of, what does she say? She goes, "Glory, I asked you two here to science at them, not me. Can you break it?" So that, yes, I think she says sciencing twice. She does science. Okay, whatever. She does the science and sciencing. Yeah. So what happens is she emotionally validates herself while easily defeating everyone, while being emotionally validated and worshipped. And then when they ask, "What would you say to your past self?" she said, "Well, I'd emotionally validate her and tell her everything." Earmuffs. Fuck off, you earmuffs. Fucking clowns. Who the... Oh. Alright. So now what we're gonna get is Avengers Annual 10. King size annual. Note that. King size. So like I said, annuals used to come out in the summertime for a couple reasons. Kids, which was the main audience when comic books were very successful. Kids would be off of school. They would ride their 10-speed racer, although 10 speeds were more for high school kids. Myself, I had a Huffy. You would, you'd be doing more chores, mowing the lawn. You'd have that $5, and so you'd go and get yourself a Slurpee, play some video games, buy a couple comics, all for $5, which you would earn in like 2-3 hours of mowing the lawn. Again, I want to point out that 75 cents adjusted for inflation is $2.09 right now. So you're going to see, first of all, and I don't think I have to worry about a copyright strike on a book that was published 30-something years ago. It's like 48 pages of Michael Golden art and Chris Claremont, and so many things happen. Now I have to say, this is actually the first time I've ever read this story. Now I've seen this cover a million trillion times because they mention, origin of Rogue, but also it's just been listed as like a good cover. I want you to remember the Captain Marvel I just showed. No challenges, constant emotional validation of herself by others, constant emotional validation of herself backwards and forwards through time, and the science. And see how there is more drama, humanity, art, and thought and care in this cover than there was in that entire book. So watch this. See Captain America totally defeated. Witness the invincible Iron Man knocked out of action. Observe Spider-Woman's daring midnight rescue, the evil mutants and the X-Men. Again, this was 75 cents, the modern equivalent of $2. So we start off, we're in San Francisco. It's always fun to not have New York City over and over and over again. I kind of laughed at seeing San Francisco so quaint, and with the Transamerica building being the tallest building, that's not there anyway. So what we get is a woman falling off the Golden Gate Bridge, and Spider Woman rescuing her. Now, I'm going to read. No, it's Chris Claremont. Every page takes about 3 minutes to read. But I want to show that at first she just barely grabs her, and then she has to adjust to her wings not being able to, carry her. She can't fly. She just has glider wings. And then she's struggling to get into the water. The water is freezing cold because it's a Bay Area. And her suit is insulated, but, the woman is just wearing plain clothes. She's really struggling to get her to shore. So much drama, struggle, heroism. Where's the emotional validation? She didn't even tell herself that she's amazing, and she didn't even mention that she would probably be friends, but she's already friends. So then we go back to the precinct, and we get to see they explain about Carol Danvers, and then we go see the X-Men because it's Chris Claremont, and it's a good way to sell comics, because he's very popular there. Look at this machinery. Look at that. Do you ever see stuff like that in modern Marvel comics? No. So then we get this. We get Captain America just getting trounced. Then we cut to, again, look at how much stuff happens on every 2 pages. So we have Tony Stark being tricked. I mean, more has look how thin that is. More has happened than in the average Marvel miniseries. The thing is, it's kind of hard to get into this, but so many things are happening on every page. You can spin entire miniseries off of stuff that happens in just 2 pages. So we get to see her, take out some people like, Thor, Captain America, but then she tries to take Wonder Man, and he's made of energy, and we get to see she does have a limit. Then we get to hear the story of, now, like I said, SJWs, they don't like comics. They actually don't like anything. The only thing they like is hating people and destroying them. But they always pretend to like things. When a SJW says they know something, that means they've heard of it. So they always do this like, oh my gosh, of course you had to reboot Carol. There's a storyline where she got pregnant and dated her own son. No, that's not what happened. What happened is this really, really tragic storyline about this obsessive guy who needed to be born into this universe. So he just used her body to gestate himself very quickly. And you're going to say, oh, that's kind of like a comic booky old story. Just wait. So then we get to, he drew all of Rikers Island. So we get to see their take on what happened, which they saw it as kind of a happy, they didn't know this guy was a creep. They just thought he was his new character. They thought Carol was in love. So they just went with him. So we get, into the action. They use Iron Man as basically a lead weight to go down there and break the reactor at Rikers Island, so that the supervillains who are held in stasis, the field generators are turned off. Look at this. It's destroying this building. Look at this. There's no Google model for that. There's no Google SketchUp model for that. Then we get to this. Come on, look at this. Look at this. It's amazing. So, then we get into the battle, and the battle is freaking intense. You have, this is a pretty solid Avengers lineup. But, they got some kind of, Hawkeye and Beast and Spider-Woman. They're all kind of lower level. And we got some heavy hitters, Wonder Man, Vision, Scarlet Witch. I think Spider-Woman is just along for the ride. She's not actually an Avenger. But I just love all these little bits of thought. They always show Destiny with this gold mask, but then when we see it from another angle, we get to see, yes, she can breathe. There's a little, you don't usually see it, but there's a little place for her to breathe through it. Look at this awesome destruction. And then there's even little bits at one point, Mystique, Raven Darkholm, she's shooting at M16, fully auto. M16A1, and there's what is it? I just love this. It's Vision's down and he isn't moving. Heck, he's lucky he's still in one piece, considering that Rogue hit him with the combined strength of Thor, Cap, and Miss Marvel. If I had any smarts, I'd vamoose, but that ain't my style. So then he actually tries to help, and he actually does a good job. He has a flashbang arrow, and it stuns even people like the Blob. And then at one point, Spider Woman sees Raven Darkholm, whatever you call her, her basic form, and then she's like, "Is that Mystique's true appearance? Her features resemble Nightcrawler's. Could there be a connection?" Yeah, well, there is, and it'll take 15 years to establish it. But yeah, entire storylines can be born out of a single line of thought dialogue. I'm not calling her a thought. I'm saying that's her thoughts. But then we actually get this cool, they get Scarlet Witch actually using her powers like they're supposed to, not as generic energy blasts, which most writers get really lazy and do. So they say the Scarlet Witch has the mutant ability to alter probabilities in a wild, unpredictable manner. So there's a gas main, and it explodes. And then we get this great bit where, then the Pyro says, "Okay, flame," and then she starts throwing like hex bolt against hex bolt. She changes probabilities so many times that fire is now stone. But even just look at this little jump ship. It's so cool and inventive. When's the last time you saw just like a cool ship like that in anything? So then they defeat him, and it's like I said, this book has been half battle between an entire team of Avengers of a pretty good lineup. And they just barely win. Although they use one thing I didn't know that the Vision had, his thermoscopic eye blast. I didn't know about that. So anyway, they defeat him in a pretty cool way. Not just that they didn't say, can you like science him or whatever? They basically she keeps they break apart the flame that became rock through so many hex bolts. And then they mix it with water and this dust, and it becomes this kind of slurry quicksand that, the Blob's thing is he's kind of stuck there just walking but not getting any traction. Then it's a couple weeks later, we cut to a little pool party, and you think, oh, this is going to be the happy, scrappy ending. But it's heartbreaking because Carol basically says, F you, F all of you. She's basically raped and kidnapped. She said that wasn't romantic. I just met that guy. Like, you gestated in my body. You let me leave. And she even, what does she do? It's like really heartbreaking. She's talking about their reactions. Oh my gosh, I got to get to this part. She's basically talking about how they were like joking around. It was just one of like the weird things that happened in their life. I got to read the actual dialogue. It's so freaking heartbreaking. Oh my gosh. What she said, she goes, "There I was, pregnant by an unknown source, running through a 9-month term literally overnight, confused, terrified, shaken to the core of my being as a hero, a person, a woman. I turned to you for help, and I got jokes. The wasp thought it was great, and the beast offered to play teddy bear. Your concerns were for the baby, not for how it came to be, nor of the cost to me of that conception. You took everything Marcus said at face value. You didn't question. You didn't doubt. You simply let me go with a smile and a wave and a bouncy bon voyage." And she basically says, I never wanted to see any of you again. I hated you because when I needed you most, you betrayed me. And then they have this great bit where she says, my mistake was trusting you. And look, they're all full of shame. They're not being emotionally validated, but listen to this. This is, again, Chris Claremont writing, and this is Carol Danvers speaking. She says, "After a trauma like mine, it's easy to wallow in bitterness and self-pity, but both grief and guilt have to be faced, dealt with, exorcised. There's more. There has to be more to being heroes than simply defeating villains. You have a role, a purpose far greater than yourselves. You have to set examples, lead the way. You represent what we should be, what we dream of becoming, not what we are. You screwed up, Avengers. You screwed up, Avengers. That's human. What is also human is the ability to learn from those mistakes, to grow, to mature. If you do that even a little, then perhaps what I went through will have a positive meaning. It's your choice." So, obviously this is just fantastic writing. Although I have to do a little critique that this was earlier in Chris Claremont's career, and I would say this is actually a little too dense. It took me like an hour to read. which is fine. This is meant to entertain a kid on a Saturday afternoon, but he kind of got better at, making, some dialogue free or some, a lot less dialogue to make the action flow better. But I can't help but thinking about the comic book industry. Like, this is how Marvel should be reacting. You screwed up. You let everyone down. You saw that book I just released. It got tons of media attention, from the shill media. And it was absolute trash. It's freaking toilet paper. It's worthless. And nobody cares. They're infinitely pleased with themselves. They're so far beyond having to prove anything to you. It's you have to prove things to them. Are you woke enough to buy their books? And their books are awful. You don't challenge anyone. You don't challenge yourself. You don't ever try to strive and improve. You are infinitely and perfectly perfect. There's nothing to improve. Nothing. Any criticism is dismissed by dismissing that person and their entire group they're in. Oh, you're incels, you're Nazis, you're KKK, you're racist. Oh, if you're a woman, you got internalized misogyny. Who the hell are these people? These people aren't fit to shine Chris Claremont's shoes. They're not fit to sharpen Michael Golden's pencils. Oh, by the way, Michael Golden also colored this. Amazing job. But we see this. We see these characters get defeated, struggle, barely win, and then when you think it's time to celebrate, you get to find out that they made this horrific mistake that will traumatize a friend and colleague of them for the rest of their life. And she's still dealing with that. And yet she can still basically say, you messed up really bad. Now's your chance to prove yourself. Well, Marvel, here's your chance to prove yourself, You're owned by a giant corporation. The idea that you're going to fold in any of these future years is ridiculous. But there's no sign you're going to improve. One of the things to improve is you have to realize you made mistakes. You're falling short of the mark. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Even worse, the people who made this, Chris Claremont, Michael Golden. I don't know about Armand Deal. I don't know about Joe Rosen. David Anthony Kraft, I'm not sure. Jim Shooter. Okay, let's just say the heavy hitters right here. The writer, the penciler, who's also the colorist and editor-in-chief. Chris Claremont, Michael Golden, Jim Shooter. Still alive, still vital, still sharp. 60s? Mike Golden looks about the same age as I am. I think I'm like 20 years younger than him. Having a rough life. They're out there. They're out there, and you're hiring clowns. You're hiring people for their skin color, for their gender, for their sexuality, for their wokeness on Twitter, for them voting the same as you. Why don't you frickin' hire on merit? Anna Senti, still out there. Louise Simonson, still out there. Joe Duffy is still out there. These people, this thing probably had 400,000 on the stands when it came out. And it's fantastic. Can you imagine the people going to see Avengers Endgame? And if this stuff was out there on the stands, $2 is what it should be for modern prices. And it was in grocery stores and 7-Eleven. Don't tell me kids don't go to the 7-Eleven. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me people don't go to grocery stores. Don't tell me that. You clowns, fix yourself. You have horrifically traumatized your customer base. You have done to your customers what Marcus, that character, did to Carol Danvers. And it's time to put up or shut up or just freaking shuffle off and write your shitty screenplays or go work for, some TV person. That's your real goal. You don't care about comics. So anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Thanks to everyone given to the GoFundMe and the Indiegogo. And I'll have not a new comic. I've caught up on my comics. So tomorrow I'm probably going to do How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, which all you clowns at Marvel should read, because you actually do. We're going to see that modern Marvel, actually does the opposite of what it says in How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. And then I think I'm going to do one of these old fanzines I've had like for 3 months waiting to do them. Thanks for watching. Bye.